Welcome back to the Heart Zone, man. It's been a minute. I know I've been slacking, but guess what? I wasn't ready to put that grind in before. I'm ready to put that grind in now. We here for a good time and a long time. So y'all stay tuned. Y'all go ahead and subscribe for me if you haven't already, and turn on post notifications, man, because we finna be here for a long time, talking about sports, getting the latest updates out for you. So, without any further ado, let's get into the NFL playoffs. We're gonna talk about the recap first of round one, and then we're gonna talk about a preview for round two, which has a lot of great matchups set up for us. So, after round one, right? Great weekend of football. I'm gonna start off with my Pittsburgh Steelers. Terrible, terrible first half versus the Ravens, right? The offense looked terrible. We couldn't stop Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is an animal. He's the MVP. We'll talk about that later. But it's the way you have to guard Lamar Jackson. They sold out on Henry, and Henry still went off. They sold out on trying to let Lamar run. He diced up the defense. You know what I'm saying? We stacked the box. He threw it to likely all game. The Ravens are legit this year. I see the confidence back in Lamar Jackson that we really haven't seen from him in the playoff game before. Lamar, I always see a different Lamar almost when he gets to the playoffs. Like he's kind of nervous. There's people in his head. But this year I'm seeing a whole new Lamar Jackson. I'm seeing a Lamar Jackson that's ready for the challenge. And honestly, as a Steelers fan, I hate to say it, but it would be cool to see Lamar go this year and chase some rings. So that's what I have to say about that. So that was a great game. Congratulations to the Ravens moving on. Next, we got the Bills and Broncos, right? Started off crazy. Broncos, first play, Bo Nix throws a touchdown, 40 yards, right? After that, Josh Allen got on the field, and he showed why he's should be an MVP too. He right there, he close to Lamar, but he's not the MVP in my opinion. It's a very close race, but Josh Allen came to play. He played like an MVP. You couldn't stop him, whether it was running, passing, escaping the pocket. Him and Lamar are probably the hardest guys in the NFL to sack. So it's like if your D line's not bringing it versus these guys, they're gonna have a field day getting outside the pocket, making plays for others, giving their running backs wide open lanes like James Cook had all game last game. So it was a great game to start off, and then Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills took over. The offense was unstoppable. The defense played great against rookie Bo Nix, who I actually think has a great future in this league. He had a good rookie season. He brought the Broncos to the playoffs. Be ready for the Broncos to make more appearances in the future because Bo Nix is something serious. They got to get him some weapons, right? Next up, we got the Texans and Chargers. Another game that started off one way and went the other, right? The Chargers started off the game great, driving down the field. Didn't quite get those touchdowns, right? You left C.J. Stroud in the game after he was struggling to start off, right? Herbert didn't finish the drives like he needed to. It's okay. It's 6-0. Next thing you know, the Texans are starting to roll. C.J. Stroud starting to get it going because he started off the game bad. You could have separated at that point, but the Chargers did not separate when they had the chance to. So when they didn't separate, the Texans, they came back, they made a comeback, and they never let their foot off the gas pedal. They went, they intercepted Justin Herbert 4 times. C.J. Stroud ended up playing a decent game, nothing crazy, good enough to get the win, which is great with Nico Collins there, but no Tank Dell, no Stephon Diggs, and an O-line that's kind of getting their butt whooped every week. You know what I mean? So that was a great win for the Texans. Chargers, it's a young year. It's your first year with Harbaugh, so you're kind of building towards the future. You got your future quarterback. He's going to have to be more consistent, in my opinion, to show that he's a winner, because I don't think Justin Herbert's quite shown that. But other than that, the Chargers are a legit team for the future. Next up, we got the Eagles and the Packers game. Another crazy game where I felt the Eagles actually left the Packers a lot of chances to come back and win this game, right? The Packers never took advantage of the Eagles giving them these chances. They were up 10-0. Packers were driving down the field. They're missing field goals. They're throwing bad picks. Like, I think Jordan Love's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but he's a gunslinger. He's going to throw the picks. He's going to throw the touchdowns. You don't know which one you're going to get. It's a true Packers quarterback, in my opinion. So he fits them perfectly. They have a bright future as well. They got to get him a wide receiver one. The Eagles are overloaded with talent. Saquon obviously played good enough. A.J. Brown had a quiet game, but they did enough to get the dub. And that's what matters in the playoffs is single elimination. So the Eagles will be moving on, and better luck next season for the Packers. Next up, we got the Commanders and the Buccaneers, right? This game was probably the best one that we've mentioned so far. It was a very good game, and you have a rookie of the year quarterback who's playing like the best rookie I've ever seen. He's playing like, in my humble opinion, he's playing like a top five quarterback. Behind the top four, Burrow, Mahomes, Allen, and Lamar, obviously, he's right behind them. So Jaden Daniels, after that game, really cements himself as top five to me. He distributes the ball well. He gets the ball out early. He makes his O-line look good. He helps his running backs out. His defense looks motivated. They brought vets in this offseason. It was a great offseason for them. I think it was a big loss for the Bucs not having Chris Godwin versus a team like Commanders, because I think this is the game he goes off when Mike Evans has to go against a player like Lattimore, who they always, going back and forth at. So this was a good chance for the Commanders to, upset them, which I believe they would do, and they end up doing. So be ready for them next round. Jaden Daniels has stamped himself as a quarterback of the future in this league. So the NFC finally has them won, because the AFC was overloaded with quarterbacks, and it was annoying. So great win by them. Baker Mayfield, he played as good as he can play. The Bucs, they're decently talented, but once they get more talent, I can see them taking that next step. But right now, yeah, they got a few more moves to make. It was a decent game by them, nothing crazy. Next up, and last up, Rams versus the Vikings. Now, this one was a true shocker to me, right? At all the games that shocked me, none of them really shocked me besides this one. I thought for sure the Vikings would be putting on a display. I thought Sam Darnold was going to be playing like it was time for him to be paid. And I thought that the Vikings would easily come to the Rams, which obviously have the great offensive playmakers and the Cool Cup and Kyron Williams, and then the Super Bowl winning quarterback in Stafford. But I thought they would go to Arizona, not LA, because obviously what's going on. I thought they would go to Arizona and take care of business, but Sam Darnold put up a stinker, right? It's time for him. It's a contract year for him. He's the biggest game of his life, honestly, and it wasn't where it needed to be. I think the Vikings had a big loss losing Christian Darrisaw earlier in the season. He was their stonewall left tackle, their protector on that O-line that really made a big difference. And you could see Darnold under a lot of pressure that game that honestly I felt led to a lot of turnovers. And honestly, if you making that many turnovers when you're under pressure, that's not a good sign for success, because the best quarterbacks get pressured and they know how to beat pressure. So great win by the Rams. They'll be moving on to face the Eagles. So now we can go ahead and get into our preview for next week, right? The Rams, coming off that win against the Vikings, will be facing the Philadelphia Eagles, where I think it's a huge, huge talent gap, right? The Rams are loaded on offense. I cannot stress that enough. If they go out there, they might be able to score with anybody. They have a quarterback who can do that. But my thing about the Eagles is they are loaded. They have cornerbacks. They have a rookie cornerback and Mitchell, who's played nice. They have Cooper DeJohn, who's played nice. They have Darius Slay, who's a vet in this league. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, he's came back to the Eagles and playing his role, basically. Blankenship's got a few picks. Braun is playing amazing. The Eagles are loaded. Their D-line, I haven't even got to the D-line, which I think is going to be the biggest difference in this game, right? You have Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith, Sweat. It's a loaded D-line for the Eagles, right? And I think they're going to come show why they're one of the best D-lines in the league, and Stafford's going to be under a lot of pressure this game. I see the Eagles winning this game by around 7 points. Honestly, the offense really scares me about the Eagles, because they haven't really been getting open. They haven't been consistent and, dominating the game as they should be. Hurts hasn't really been slinging the ball as I thought he would. So that's the one thing that could hold the Rams back in this game. But other than that, they're way more talented than the Rams. So this should be an easy matchup for the Eagles. So give me the Eagles by, I would say, around 7. Next up, we got the Texans and the Chiefs. Um, yeah, this is gonna be ugly. I think the Chiefs are obviously, this is not one of their years where they're like, oh my gosh, the Chiefs overloaded with talent, right? No, this is a year where the Chiefs are actually having a down year despite only losing one real game, right? So, with all that being said, I got the Chiefs blowing the Texans out. Patrick Mahomes is a playoff quarterback. This is what he does. In the biggest moments, he's going to come out and show out. And also, on the other side, where I like the key matchup for the Chiefs this game is Chris Jones versus the interior of the Texans O-line, right? The Texas interior has been getting trashed all season, obliterated by anybody who comes in there. Even Laramie Tunsil, their left tackle, they pay all the big money to, who's supposed to be holding the O line down. He's been getting his butt whooped all season too. So they really don't have anybody reliable that can honestly keep CJ Stroud protected. And with CJ Stroud not only having less weapons, but also having an O line who's not blocking for him, I think the Chiefs dominate this game. Stroud is under a lot of pressure, and the Chiefs win this game by at least 10 points. The Chiefs are going to come and set a statement. They may start off rusty, but a statement will be made by the Chiefs this game. Next up, we got the Commanders and the Lions. This is the second most exciting game of this week, right? I think you got the young quarterback in Jaden Daniels versus a loaded Lions team, which should absolutely blow this Commanders team out, right? This Commanders team shouldn't even be here. They weren't even supposed to make the playoffs, but they have such a great quarterback who came in and won a lot of games for them that they're in the second round of the playoffs. The Lions, they were supposed to be here. They were supposed to be the one seed. They were supposed to be a historical offense, and they have been everything that they were supposed to be and some. So this game, I see no chance, right? The Commanders' defense can keep up with the Lions' offense. Now, if Jaden Daniels can have a shootout with the Lions, I think Jared Goff can make a few mistakes that will lead the Commanders to a win here. But if that's not the case and the Lions' offense gets going, they're not keeping up. This is not an offense you can keep up with. Their defense, it can give up big plays sometimes, but they'll play decent enough to get the wins. Where as long as the offense don't make a bunch of mistakes, the Lions should easily destroy the Commanders this game. And then last but not least, we have the game of the week, the battle of the MVP candidates, the Ravens versus the Bills, Lamar versus Josh Allen. We've been all year, it's been a very close race, but now we get to see two of the best players in the league and then the two top MVP candidates go at it for a chance to move on to the next round and get their first ring. Now, in my opinion, this is just going to be a great game. The Ravens dominated the game in the regular season, so I think the Bills going to have a nasty taste in their mouth. They kind of made a few upgrades to make sure the team was right before they had to match up with a potential Ravens-Chiefs team, and they should be right there ready. But in my opinion, this the Ravens. They're ready. Lamar is ready. He's ready to take that next step. He's ready to go get that Super Bowl that everybody talks about all the time that he should have. So I got the Ravens winning this game. My key matchups here is the Ravens run game versus the Bills run defense, right? The Bills have not been able to stop the run. The Ravens are excelling at running the ball. You have Derrick Henry. Who are you going to stop him? Are you going to stop Lamar Jackson? What are you going to do? You're going to stop Likely? You're going to stop Zay Flowers? You're going to stop It's too hard to stop. And I don't think the Bills have the weapons to stop that. And I also think the Ravens get a couple stops. They may not stop Josh Allen many times, but they'll get enough stops for the Ravens to come out victorious in this game. So give me the Ravens over the Bills. I think it's going to be a great game, a close game. But the Ravens, they need this a little bit more. They're on the road, so that's why I give it the close game, because I think Josh Allen's going to put up a show at home. But give me the Ravens and the MVP to win this game and play the Chiefs next round. So that's it for that round. Now I want to talk about the NFL awards, right? We've been hearing a whole bunch of talk about it. I was just talking about it now. Lamar versus Josh Allen. Who's going to win the MVP? Well, I honestly don't think it should be a close race, right? Lamar Jackson just passing the ball is having one of the most historic seasons of all time. We're talking like near Rodgers' MVP season, his best MVP season, throwing the ball, right? Where he just absolutely, let me pull it up. I wanna compare that to Rodgers' season because you had Rodgers. He threw like 5 interceptions, I think, and then he threw for 4,000 yards. Yes, he threw 45 touchdowns, 6 interceptions for 4,600 yards. He threw 4,300 yards, 38 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. And they also had another year where he threw for 4,400 yards, 40 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. And then the great 2020 season, obviously, where he had 48 touchdowns to 5 interceptions on 4,300 yards passing, right? Those are great numbers. Those are MVP numbers. Rodgers was absolutely excellent. It's one of the greatest seasons we've ever seen passing the ball, period. Now I want to bring up Lamar Jackson's stats. Lamar Jackson this year, just passing the ball, not mentioning any rushing, the great rushing season he has. 4,172 passing yards, 41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Just passing the ball, not to mention anything running. That is one of the most historic seasons we've ever seen. It is the only time a quarterback has ever had 40 touchdowns and less than 5 interceptions. We're talking about a historic season here, and that's not even factoring in his almost 1,000 rushing yards. Right? Lamar Jackson this year had 915 rushing yards to go along with that. So he had 5,000 total yards on the season. He didn't finish every game. They were blowing teams out. Derrick Henry had the best season of his career, most efficient season. Why? Because everybody's selling out on guarding Lamar Jackson, going after Lamar Jackson because defenses fear Lamar Jackson. I don't think anything else should be said. They do the same about Josh Allen, but the season that Lamar had this year to go along with a great record, I think that combo really gives him the MVP. Josh Allen had an MVP season, a great season where you say you look at his playmakers and you say, hey, this team really overperformed, right? This is a team that we didn't expect to win this many games. We didn't expect to be the 2 seed. We didn't expect Josh Allen to still have a MVP season despite this. James Cook is very good. Let me go ahead and get that out the way because we've been having a lot of disrespect about James Cook. James Cook is a very good running back. But anywho, Josh Allen had a great season, and we're not taking nothing away from Josh Allen. What I'm saying is Lamar had a historic season. Josh had a great season. Lamar had a historic season. That's not no debate for MVP. So Lamar should be the MVP, um, and that's my opinion on that. So next up for the awards, we got Offensive Player of the Year. Great year from Saquon. Almost broke the record. It's nothing to argue there. Saquon's the Offensive Player of the Year. Um, Coming to the Eagles behind that great O line, I expected him to almost double his production, and he did. He had a great season, not running behind a bunch of bums on the Giants O line and playing with a terrible quarterback like Daniel Jones. That's how much it would change for a running back. So Saquon's the Offensive Player of the Year. For my Defensive Player of the Year, I have it was T.J. Watt for a minute, but after like you disappear in the most important part of the season, I honestly don't think you can validate give you that. I think last year he was absolutely robbed for Defensive Player of the Year, but this year it's not. I don't think he really earned it. Honestly, the stats weren't T.J. Wattish. They weren't standing out. You didn't finish the season like we expected. So honestly, Defensive Player of the Year, I'm going Patrick Surtain. I think Surtain had an excellent season, pretty much unstoppable. So I would give the Defensive Player of the Year to Surtain because he pretty much shut down any wide receiver one he went against. He had a lot of interceptions this year. So Surtain's Defensive Player of the Year. Offensive Player of the Year, Jaden Daniels, obviously. Historic rookie season that he put up. The Commanders are 12-5 in the playoffs. That's ridiculous. They were the second worst team last year, literally. And they brought in a quarterback, brought in some vets, and instantly they're a playoff team. So there's no question about Offensive Rookie of the Year. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Jared Verse off the Rams. What a season he had. He fell to them in the draft. No defenders went in the draft to, I think, like pick 17 this year. So the Rams just sat there. They waited until a top player fell to them, as they usually do. And guess what? They hit on another draft pick. Sean McVay has an eye for talent. I love to see it. He's one of the best coaches in the league. That was a great game that they played too. And shout out to their defensive coordinator. He played a great game last week. Comeback player of the year, obviously Joe Burrow. Got hurt the year before, had a hand injury, came back this year, had probably the best passing season this year. Him and Lamar are very close. I only say that because Joe Burrow had way more attempts than Lamar Jackson. But the fact that Joe Burrow was that efficient on the amount of attempts he had this year shows that he's a top quarterback. He should be the comeback player of the year. And everything about Burrow is right. He's one of those. And then last but not least, the coach of the year, who I think just got embarrassed, right? It was embarrassing. But coach of the year, we're going with Kevin O'Connell. He just got embarrassed by the Rams, embarrassed by their defensive coordinator, who, like I just said, he coached an amazing game. I didn't see much open for Sam Darnold during the game. So it was a lot of times where he just called great plays. But the coach of the year is Kevin O'Connell. That Vikings team was supposed to be 9-8 at best. Nobody expected them to be 14-3. Nobody expected them to be in the playoffs. But Kevin O'Connell cut his butt off. He made Sam Darnold look like a top quarterback, which I don't think he is, but he made him look like one. So if you can do that, in my opinion, go 14-3 with a tough schedule, I think you should easily be the coach of the year. So that's my NFL awards. That's how I think they will end up going. With that being said, that is all we are covering today for NFL. We will have NBA content coming up in the next couple days, so you stay tuned for that. Thank y'all for watching. Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Now, seriously, it don't take long. Just hit the subscribe button, and then, turn on post notifications. And then, be ready for the next video. So thank y'all for tuning in. I'm McGarren Hart. Heart Zone is back. Y'all stay tuned. We're going to be on the radio. We're going to be on YouTube. Everything. We'll put it on Spotify. Everything. You can listen. It doesn't matter. So stay tuned. We got the latest news for you. The latest updates. Thank you for watching. Peace.